Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Michael. I'll be your host for today. I am a cloud solutions architect from Massdriver. So, Massdriver is a customizable internal developer platform that enables developers self-service and empowers operations. So, during this webinar, some of my teammates are going to be in the chat answering any and all questions. This webinar will also be recorded and uploaded to the Massdriver YouTube channel. So today we are going to be going over a new feature in the Massdriver platform. This is role-based access control. So this webinar should be shorter than usual. We're going to cover a few objectives today for RBAC. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to define RBAC and why it's so vitally important. We're then going to go into the Massdriver platform. We're going to configure RBAC groups and assign user permissions. And then we'll then end on going over how Massdriver's RBAC feature extends to systems like the CLI, CI/CD, and the API. So put simply, role-based access control is a security-based approach of limiting access to resources based on a user's role within an organization. A user can be a part of one or multiple roles within an organization. Now, being a part of these multiple groups that allow defined access to an organization will allow you to access certain scoped projects uh, and essentially disallow access to other entities. These RBAC policies can extend to service accounts as well, not just users. So let's actually go ahead into the Massdriver platform and see this in action. So I'm going to share the Massdriver platform here. And I'm just going to go ahead and full screen this so everybody can see. Now, what I want to do is talk about users first. So we'll go into this users tab. And as you can see, this is just a breakdown of users that I have in my organization. Now, we have the list of users here in the left-hand column. We have their status here in the middle. Their status tells us whether they have accepted the invite to my organization or not. Or whether it's still pending. And then we have the groups that they're in. And as you can see, if you're a part of more than one group, then it's going to appear in this list like this. And now let's go ahead and go into the groups menu. So as you can see, I have some groups here. We have organization admin. This group is delivered by default to all organizations. And this is the global admin role, the global admin group. And then from here, I've added a couple of roles as well for my organization. Let's go ahead and open up the e-commerce team. And as you can see, I have a couple members in my e-commerce team. And I also have a service account as well. So my GitHub CI/CD service account, which allows my CI/CD pipeline to be able to patch and deploy my applications automatically for me. The service account is part of this group as well. And as you can see down here in the project section, this is where the group is scoped. So the e-commerce project, all users and service accounts in this group have admin access to this project. What that means is they can make changes, they can deploy, they can decommission, they can do essentially any action within that project. And then they also have viewer access to the beer analytics project. Now, they don't need access to be able to make changes, but maybe they need access to be able to see if that infrastructure and application is up and running or not, or to be able to view some of the non-sensitive configurations. That's what the viewer action or the viewer role allows them to do for that project. Now, what I'd like to do is go ahead and just create another quick group for another team of mine. This is going to be my data analytics team. So we're going to go ahead and create that permissions for my data analytics beer team. And we'll click create. So this adds a new group that we can go ahead and then configure. Now, what I'd like to do is add some users. I'm going to click add here, and then we'll just add, myself as a user, and then a service account. We can drop down and select the service account. We'll select Homer's control panel. And then projects. So this is where I can scope the access of this group. So beer analytics, we're going to add the project admin. So again, this gives the users and the service accounts the ability to make changes, deploy, decommission. And then I'd also like this group to be able to view, but not make changes to the e-commerce project. So by selecting that read-only access Boolean, that gives the viewer access for that particular project for all users and service accounts in this group. All right. So Massdriver's RBAC capabilities extend outside the graph as well. Access to the command line tool, CI/CD, such as GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps pipelines, and even the GraphQL API are all handled by RBAC through the service account permissions. By default, any new user or service account added to your organization is added to the org viewer role or the org reader role with permissions that can be finely tuned and scoped down to the project level. I'll go ahead and paste a link to the chat. I'll also add this link to our YouTube video description. And what this link does is it provides a full breakdown of our RBAC roles and their allowed actions. So, to recap, that was pretty quick. So, we talked about how RBAC limits access to our resources based on an entity's role within an organization. We also walked through the process of setting some RBAC permissions for a group, then added a user and a service account. We then wrapped up talking about how RBAC can be applied to service accounts so that permissions are scoped for external tools such as the CLI, CSCD, and the API. This concludes the brief webinar. This is more of an informational showcase, but thank you so much for joining us today. I'll be sticking around to answer some questions. If you're interested in learning more about Massdriver, please check out massdriver.cloud.